So the necessity for record keeping is a must for everyone, whether you're running a business as an individual or a sole proprietor. You need to keep books and records for that business. And if it's in a corporation, well, that's a separate legal entity that's got to maintain its books and records anyway, in addition to accounting for that business. So there's um, tax compliance that needs to be dealt with, and that could be on a periodic basis. You might have payroll that needs to be dealt with, and that could be on a periodic basis. So depending on the needs of that business, you're going to have to maintain books and records just to track your activities. And at the same time, there's going to be a requirement for you to make decisions using that financial information. And the more readily available it is, the more easily you can make those decisions and not have to waste time trying to gather that information and accumulate it together and lose out on a potential opportunity. So doing record keeping in an efficient way is really a function of you and your business. So some people like to get involved. Some people don't want to be involved at all. And there's a lot in between. So depending on the size of your business and the scale and the number of transactions involved, and sometimes that's a function of locations and all sorts of variables, we can help you with what your needs are. And if that requires involvement or support from a bookkeeper or an outsourcing group or an accountant on a monthly basis, well, we can do that for you either in your office, manually, virtually, or on a platform digitally using software to meet your needs. And that's really what the key requirement is. But at a bare minimum, you're going to have to prepare your records, and whether you do it or an accountant does it, well, depending on how well you can do it, is going to be, I guess, the determining factor as to whether or not that could be done efficiently. Bookkeepers do have jobs, and they're usually there to help you advance and be efficient with your own time so that you can focus your time on the business and growing your business and not have to get bogged down with the record keeping and the accounting of it all. So outsourcing can make a lot of sense for sure. And as your business continues to evolve and grow, even right out of the chute, maybe some people just don't want to get involved at all. So it does make sense, and quite often does make sense for a lot of my clients. I've seen it firsthand to have somebody else deal with the books and records. My clients are usually not accountants, and they don't like to deal with the books and records, and that's why they come to me, and we help them out. Sometimes they dabble and they will give it a good first shot or an attempt, and we can pick up from there, and that's fine, and that works, and that works for that business owner. And because they want to have their hands dirty and have an understanding as to what's going on, it gives them that sense of security and control as well, and we get that. And we can work together with any level of involvement that makes sense for that particular owner and that business to meet that need. But yeah, usually outsourcing does have its place because it is usually a cheaper option for the business owner to have somebody else worry about that function and that administrative world. That's just a natural part of that business that needs to be dealt with, and the business owner can then better focus their energies and time servicing their own clients and growing their own business without having to worry about it. So some advantages of record keeping is that it gives you that financial information at your fingertips. So depending on how often you update your books and records, you'll have the right information to make that decision on an informed basis. So that could be investing or marketing or purchasing new equipment or hiring new staff, just understanding what the cash flows are like or have been like or trending. And if you're mixing that in with budgeting, you're able to project and understand what will be coming in the door based on either trends or what you're looking to do with respect to your business plan and how that's being deployed and received in the marketplace. So updating your books is a huge advantage because you're going to have that information to make those types of decisions. Absent that information, it's going to be pretty hard to fly by the seat of your pants to make that happen. And approaching a lender like a bank, or even your accountant at year end to deal with your tax compliance can also be a challenge if your books and records aren't up to date, because that means it'll just cost more, and that'll add more stress to your life. Because if you have something looming like a tax bill that you have no idea how much money you made in the year, and now you have to scramble to get your books and records together, well, it could be a little bit of a sticker shock as well, especially if you haven't been good at managing your cash because you're a startup business, or you have been profitable, but you have no idea because you keep reinvesting and spending the money and on good things, of course, but you just can't make ends meet. And it just makes it that much more difficult to manage those types of situations. And like I say, make informed decisions when you don't have the information. So record keeping, in the situation where the government comes in to audit you or review your books, can definitely help you more than it can hurt you. The idea being that when the CRA were to come through the door and for an income tax audit or a payroll audit, GST audit, first thing they're going to summon is a set of the books and records and the bank statements, and they're going to start tying things in. Well, if you don't have books and records to give them, well, that could be a problem right out of the gate. And that usually isn't a good sign to the auditor that you have your business affairs in order. So if you're already putting the auditor in a bad mindset from the beginning, that is probably not something that's going to be helpful along the way. And in my experience, the easier you can make it for an auditor to do their job, the easier the outcome will be on you as a result of, I guess, whatever they need to deal with at their end. I mean, they are people too, and they have a job, of course. We don't like them coming in being intrusive, but keeping things neat and tidy and in order does go a long way, in my experience, I've found with auditors, because they can get in and get out without having to start digging through and mulling around for weeks and weeks and sometimes even months, which could just add up, because a lot of times you call your accountant in to help manage that process. And if the books and records are messy and you're trying to tidy them up before the auditor gets in, or while they're even in there starting to look, and then you call in your accountant while they're already there and they found something, well, that could just make it exponentially harder and more expensive to deal with, irrespective of whether or not they find anything in the first place. So the threshold for pain when it comes to record keeping, yeah, can be measured on a scale of 1 to 10. So if you like the pain of dealing with your books, or you find it painful dealing with your books and you like a 10 and you're at a 10, well, that's why we're here, and we can help you bring that down to whatever level you want. If you like a 5 or a 0, we've got all the solutions to help you meet that need so that it doesn't have to be as painful as you want it to be in order to manage that process. It's important, of course, and it's a requirement and needs to get done. And we have solutions to meet all business size needs on a digital basis, on a manual basis, in person, virtually, however you want it to happen, however you need it to happen. And that's going to be a function of your business and what you want and need in order to make decisions for your business in particular. So pricing is also adjusted accordingly. We deal with owner managed clients. That's our bread and butter wheelhouse, day in, day out. So we're pretty confident we have solutions that'll meet your needs, irrespective of the size of your business.